What a great meditation. Great silence and some great words of wisdom there for us. So it's time for today's message. So would you welcome Stuart? Understanding silence. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, good to see you. So my talk today is on understanding silence. And I had my own journey into silence, which I'm going to talk about today. Didn't plan it, didn't seek it, just found myself in there, and I want to talk about what I learned. So I'd like to start with Myrtle Fillmore. A little bit of background on Myrtle. After being diagnosed with tuberculosis, Myrtle experienced a profound spiritual healing based on the belief that divine life flows through everybody. Her core conviction, I am a child of God, and therefore I do not inherit sickness, became a foundational principle of Unity's practice of affirmative prayer. Myrtle founded Unity's prayer ministry, initially called the Society of Silent Help, which eventually grew into Silent Unity, a global, continuous 24/7 prayer ministry offering support through phone, mail and online requests. Myrtle was known for writing thousands of letters offering guidance, comfort and healing prayers to people around the world. She earned the title of Mother of Unity within the movement. So one of the letters, their letters are very interesting and they're fantastic to read because you get a real sense of the early days of Unity and what they were doing. So I recently read one of the letters. That's quite all right. So the letters of Myrtle Fillmore are all about making peace. This is a quote from Truth Unity. The letters of Myrtle Fillmore are all about making peace. Peace with our bodies, with our friends and family, with our memories, with our life partner, with our finances, with old age and death. Yeah, I know it's heavy, isn't it? Each letter was written by Myrtle in reply to someone who asked her for guidance for a real-world problem. I'm going to read that again quickly. The letters of Myrtle Fillmore are all about making peace. This is what I went through. Peace with our bodies, with our friends and family, with our memories, with our life partner, with our finances, with old age and death. I'm going to summarise, I won't read you the whole letter she wrote, which is entitled Going to the Silence, but I'll summarise it. So she makes points like, don't try so hard to enter the silence. Don't hurry or force entry into the silence. Be careful not to introduce body tensions. Ironically, you might be trying to relax into the silence and create tensions. She tells us to enter the silence with wisdom and love. They should be our motivations. Breathe evenly, she says. Spend quiet time with the Divine Creator, drawing on the inexhaustible supply each day. That's profound. I'm paraphrasing, but this is more or less what it said. Spend quiet time with the Divine Creator, drawing on the inexhaustible supply each day. Now, there's some really interesting things she talks about too. She says, withdraw from the world, but not too much. Find the balance. And then afterwards, make practical use of the revelations you've learned during that quiet time. Entering the silence will help you leave old ideas and will increase your divine presence in daily life. I found all this to be true. She even mentions how Jesus taught us to pray. So I've got the Bible verse from Matthew 6:6, which is interesting too. So Jesus said, but when you pray, go into your room, close the door and pray to your Father who is unseen. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. I find that so interesting. So at this point in my journey, I see prayer and meditation as almost the same thing. I really do now. So I'll get onto my experience. I got some photos for you. I moved to the country, a beautiful little town called Warburton. And my wife and I moved into a house there, and I thought, I need to find a job. but I don't want to travel all the way to the city or even the suburb. That's going to take too long. I opened the local paper and there were roles on the fire crew, protecting our water catchments. Now this is the environment I used to work. That was my view. So the job was, they'd take on a whole summer fire crew. And in the job it said, we're also looking for people to be fire tower observers, to sit in the silence in the forest. I walked in, I took the cutting from the newspaper and I walked in to my wife and I said, this job's for me, I can feel it, like an intuition. And she flatly said, well, apply for it. So I applied for the job. I got an interview. I thought this is going to be great because this place was like 15 minutes drive from where I was living in the country. I sat down in the interview. I'd just come from working in a hotel, basically being night manager, concierge, so really white collar work. I went into this interview and the 3 people interviewing me literally had blue collars on. It was a very different dynamic for me. They asked me questions like that I didn't really understand at the time, but I understood later. Are you going to be okay sitting by yourself for hours in the forest? Yeah, I'll be fine. Sounds great. If we give you the job, you can't, this is what they said to me in the interview, you can't quit halfway through the season because number one, we can't train someone else to be a firefighter because I did the whole training course. And we won't be able to find someone to go into the fire tower. I skipped a bit. Early in the interview I said, I want to go and work in the fire tower. And all 3 people interviewing me started laughing. I said, what's so funny? And they said, well, normally we have to talk, we take on a whole fire crew and then we have to talk someone into going and sitting in the fire tower in the silence. And you're coming into the interview saying, I want that job. And I said, yeah, I do. That's the point where they said, well, if we give you the job, you have to agree to stay for the whole fire season for 2 reasons. We can't train someone to be a firefighter, and we can't pull someone off the crew to have them sit up in the fire tower. Do you agree that you'd stay up there the whole season, which is 6 months? I said, yeah, I'll do that. I got the job. They sent me on the fire training course, which was fantastic. You got to use the tankers, everything you do fighting a fire. I had to know all that, even though I was going to be sitting in there, because I just needed to understand how it worked. I met some people on the course who had done the fire tower, and they told me this weird thing. Stuart, the first season is very rough. I said, rough? I'm going to be sitting, staring out the window? What's rough about that? Looking for smoke, this is great. Well, you'll find out. So what happened was, I sat in this fire tower. I loved the job. I'd be there anywhere between 4 and 12 hours at a time, 12 hours. There was no TV, there was a bit of radio, there was almost no phone reception, and this was around about the year 2002, so I didn't have a cell phone, smartphone or anything like that. Now, because I'm a musician, I took up my guitar and I'd play for about 3 hours. And I get sick of it after playing for 3 hours. Then I'd be just left with my thoughts. So here's the weird thing. Now, I'm not saying my journey is exactly going to be the same as yours, but I want to share what happened to me. So around about the 2 to 3 month mark, about 2.5 months, I had all these thoughts come up from my subconscious, and they were hard to deal with. It was things like, Stuart, how about this thing that happened to you in your childhood? Can we examine that? I'm getting emotional. This is like it was just yesterday. How about how you weren't your best self in that situation? How about how you did the wrong thing by this situation? How about just boom, 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 and I actually yelled out in the middle of the forest, "Make it stop!" I was traumatized. And the next thought was, I'm going to quit. I'm going to leave this. I can't handle this. I'll tell my wife, look, I was lonely up there. And then I remember what they told me in the interview, Stuart, if you take this job, you can't quit. You need to stay. We can't find someone else. And then I thought, oh no, I've agreed to stay. So then what happened then was I had to go through the journey It went on for about 2-3 days. It was like my subconscious was saying, you're finally listening. How about we deal with this? How about we deal with that? And it was a traumatic period. I like to think I'm brave and spiritually evolved and everything, but I've got to tell you the truth, I would have left if I could. That's how bad it was. No, I don't want to scare you off going into the silence because it's got a happy ending, okay? So stay with me. At the end of that 2-3 days, I started ringing people who'd hurt me, people I'd hurt, and that was emotional too. Saying, I'm really sorry about how that played out or how this happened, and look, this happened, but I still love you. Oh, that was tough to do too. But I made an amazing breakthrough. Then I understood why the other fire towerman was saying to me, Stuart, the first season is rough. I found out what that roughness is. It was dealing with me in the silence. After that, I felt this lightness. I could sit up there forever now. And it felt wonderful. I haven't worked everything out on my problems, but that was amazing. Going into the silence. I didn't seek it. That's what I said at the start of the talk. I found myself going into the silence because it's very quiet up there. This is just one view from the fire tower. It's almost 360 degrees. So on that first season, I spotted a fire pretty much in that direction, and I was the only one who could see it. And the fire duty officer said, "You've saved the catchment." He said to me, "Based on your actions and what you've done, I want to invite you back next year." Yeah, it was fantastic. So I did that for 8 years. That was my job. Oh, it was. I'll tell you what was great about it. I used to earn enough money in 6 months to not even work the other 6 months. But I was on call all the time. I couldn't go far from the town because you never knew what was going to happen during the fire season. I was in the Black Saturday bushfires. I got nominated for an emergency services medal because I got told to evacuate. I couldn't have gone through this though, what subsequently happened, unless I'd been through this sort of dealing with my own fears and issues. So when the fire came through, the fire duty officer said, I said to him, "Do you want me to go in the dugout and let the fire pass over me and then I'd come back out?" Which is scary. And he told me, "No, this thing's unstoppable, just get out of there." I stayed back to help someone else evacuate who was stuck. I won't go into the details, one day I might. I got awarded an emergency services medal after that. I did one more season up there, but it kind of spooked me, being in a big fire like that. I felt proud about what I did though. So another thing, so that was one of my experiences into the silence, which was fantastic. After that I did yoga. I found that fantastic. I was really diligent about it. Each morning I'd wake up and do all the stretches and exercises and then I'd end with a meditation. That was fine. I just could cruise through that after going through that. Now, I'm partly telling you this because I want to calibrate with you too. One day after the meditation, I had this heightened awareness. I can't even describe it properly. It was like everything was speaking to me. Everything was, I was just aware of everything. I could look at something and I knew about it. And I sat on the couch and I said out loud, "I can't live like this." It was too much. I'm not explaining it very well, but it's really hard to explain. I stopped the meditation at that point because once again I was fearful. So I came into an encounter with the divine, I would think. Maybe now if that happened to me I could press on through that and expand my consciousness further, but there's something also intimidating about going to the silence, I found. I might have made that first breakthrough, but then another one presented itself. "Hey Stuart, how about we open the secrets of the universe to you for a little while?" And I sat there on my couch and it slowly abated, probably because I spoke it like an affirmation. I'm realising as I'm telling you, I said, "I can't live like this," and it just started to dissipate. I stopped the meditation and the yoga and everything at that point. I wish I was brave, but I wasn't. I couldn't, well, maybe I could be now as I've learned, but it's all part of my journey. So I want to touch on silent unity again briefly. So silent unity, also known as Unity Prayer Ministry, is a free 24/7 global unity church ministry offering continuous compassionate prayer support founded in the late 19th century by Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. It uses affirmative prayer, focusing on inner spiritual energy rather than asking for external intervention. Fantastic. To help people of all faiths through their grief, illness and crisis. So this whole thing makes a lot more sense to me now that I've been through what I've been through. And I also understand, or I feel, that the people doing this have probably made their own breakthroughs if they're able to sit in the silence like I've sort of went through. So the core services and features of Silent Unity are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, answering millions of requests each year via phone, mail and online submissions. No judgment. How beautiful is this? Offers completely confidential and non-judgmental spiritual encouragement to anyone in need. Relies on positive, affirmative thoughts and stillness to help individuals connect with a loving, divine presence. And what I encountered was loving, you know. I might be up here saying I struggled with it. Doesn't mean it wasn't loving. I made breakthroughs. People can submit requests or call Unity Prayer Ministry directly for immediate support. And you'll see later there's a slide about the intention circle which leads nicely into that. Now, thank you for your time. I'm going to end by playing a video which is about 5-6 minutes long, so I didn't want to talk too long. This is a track called Silence and I by the Alan Parsons Project. So for me, because I've been on this journey, I feel like I understand what the track's telling me. It starts gently, beautifully, it gets all really dynamic, then comes back to the silence again. So I'll play it for you now. Thank you so much.